Hello.
Hello.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Joe.
And this
Is
Finish Big.
Bernice Summerfield, Series 3.
Yes.
And it better be better than Series 2.
Well, we're just having a drink on the beach first to prepare ourselves. Prepare ourselves ready for these 4 excellent adventures.
But there's one thing to remember before we go in. We're lovely Spouman.
Oh, queer. We are listening our way through the catalogue of Big Finish releases in order.
Could you imagine if it was a catalogue?
Oh my God, like
How big it would be.
I know, it'd be like the Argos catalogue, wouldn't it?
No, you know, like what's that cricketing book that comes out every year? Whitaker's Almanac.
Yes, it would be that.
Or
yeah.
Stanley Gibbons stamp collections.
Or the dictionary.
It would be a series of dictionaries.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Yes, so we're making our way through, slow but sure. Mm-hmm. And this time, it's Bernice Summerfield again.
Yes. Adventure is my name. Adventure is my game.
Well, not anymore.
I want to play with you.
Well, we've changed the theme, haven't they? We're back to the...
What the hell was that?
Isn't it?
No, I thought it was...
That's what I mean, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's no relation at all to what noise you were just making.
So the releases we are talking about today are The Greatest Shop in the Galaxy.
Spending set to... Cool, blimey, governor. Do you want to take the shop as well?
The Green-Eyed Monsters.
You're a complete and utter little horror and you've ruined my life and I hate you.
The Dance of the Dead.
Tell me how many, you whore.
And The Mirror Effect.
That's 7 years bad luck, you know.
So this is only Series 3 of Bernice.
Why'd you say it like that?
Well, I feel like a lot has happened. But I suppose that's because a lot of books have happened in the narrative in between Series 2 and 3, especially.
The books have been doing the heavy lifting as far as the Brax Hotel collection is concerned, because Brax appears in The Mirror Effect here, doesn't he? But before that, he's only been in one story.
One audio, yes.
This is where you start to get more of Adrian, more of Jason, and a lot about Peter, obviously.
And Series 2 of Bernice, we weren't particularly keen on, were we?
Oh, fucking awful.
Because it really did take a bit of a dive, and it was a very small cast, cheaply done, one-discers.
We did put a lot of the blame on Toby and Emily.
And the sound design wasn't great. But
it was awful. I mean, what a step up.
This is a big improvement.
To Series 3.
Absolutely.
Basically, David Darlington's on board now. And I've got some bits in the trivia, but they've done it later. You know, because a lot of this was done in a rush. You know, Bernice was not the hot property anymore. Doctor Who was where all the attention was.
Well, we're Doctor Who with Paul McGann flying high, aren't we?
Yeah. But even sort of with maybe their eye off the ball, the sound designers for the Bernice range are doing amazing work compared to Series 2.
Yeah, these sound really great, and I love the world of Bernice, and it's really great to come back to it.
Yeah.
In fact, some of my favourite characters from Doctor Who are like in the Bernice range, I feel.
Yeah, well, can I actually make a point about spin-offs?
Yeah.
Because there's a point I was going to make on another podcast, but I never did, but I can do it here. Like, you and I have listened to a lot of Doctor Who releases, and I'm sure you would probably agree with me that over time, the sort of the Doctor Who, the main range, and the sort of the big spin-offs that have come from that now, it loses its way a bit, you know, and sells itself out a bit because it basically relies on the same writers to kickstart these ranges, and it's writers with a finite amount of talent at their disposal. But what happens with the spin-offs is, because no one's really looking at them, they get in writers. And there's a great example here. You've got Paul Ebbs, Dave Stone, Steve Cole, and Stuart Sheargold. And they don't do a lot of work in sort of the Doctor Who ranges, but actually they're doing really interesting... Why are you looking... What's the matter?
I'm just seeing Stuart Sheargold. Who did...
He did The Mirror Effect.
Oh, okay.
And they're really creative and they get to do really interesting things. This is 4 very unique stories, and I think 4 very good ones.
Yes, I agree. And well done for making the point about Doctor Who may be going off the ball a bit later on without mentioning Nick Briggs or Sophie Eldred. I was waiting for their names to come up.
It's not just Nick Briggs.
No, I know.
And you know what? We will say nice things about Nick Briggs.
We do.
When
we have.
No. But when we hit Creatures of Beauty and Lucy Miller to the Death and all of this, Patient Zero, you love all that stuff. You know, we will say nice things about him. But my point is that these spin-offs, sometimes this is where the talent is.
Well, should we go into our first story then?
The greatest shop in the galaxy?
The galaxy. The galaxy.
Do you know what? Did you hear when Bernice said, I'm going to have my feet surgically altered to fit those shoes? I know women like that, you know.
Oh, well, okay, well, let's go into it
sorry.
before we... I wonder where you were going with that.
No, that was my whole point.
Well, the greatest shop in the galaxy... The Galaxy was released in February 2002, starring, of course, Lisa Bowerman.
Oh, Queen!
As the First Lady of Big Finish, the Queen.
Recently baptised on Eastbourne Beach by Mark and
We
I.
can never get enough of Lisa Bowerman.
No, if she ever wants to come for a fish supper, then pop down to see us, alright? No, because we're by the beach! A fish supper because we're by the beach!
I know. We saw her eating fish and chips one day, didn't we? Remember?
And Wendy Padbury.
Sharing
gin and tonic.
having a fish supper together.
So you listen, Lisa, we'll buy you some fish, alright?
Oh my god. Anyway, also starring Stephen Wickham,
Oh, Joseph.
David Benson and Toby Longworth.
Yeah, that's right.
This was written by Paul Ebbs, directed by Alistair Locke,
Yeah.
with music by Alistair Locke.
Do you know what? This is the only Big Finish story directed by Alistair Locke,
That's surprising, actually.
who in Bernice Summerfield, the Inside Story, goes on to say, look, I'm not just a sound designer, you know. I've got a list of directing credits under my name.
And
But they never had him back
this
again.
is very good. And what I like about Bernice, and I have said this before, I like the lighter tone that it can sometimes have compared to some of the Doctor Who. It's still got your sci-fi adventure, but it can be quite silly, funny. Actually, a lot of these stories in this season particularly, they could have almost been like Red Dwarf plot lines. It feels very Red Dwarf.
Weird, doesn't it? Yeah.
But I can see this happening in any series of Red Dwarf. But I like that. I like that tone, and that is the sort of Bernice that I like as well, which
the
differentiates.
Same sort of comedy is. Oh no, it isn't, is it? It's got a bit of a bite. This comedy.
It's a sci-fi adventure, and it's got drama to it, but it's then got these silly characters, like you say about the shoes and the bit, a little bit hitchhikers as well, in a way.
Do you know, if Douglas Adams had been around much longer, he would have
Imagine
thought...
Douglas Adams writing a Bernice.
Oh my God, don't even entice
That is,
me.
and I think his writing would suit Bernice Summerfield more than Doctor Who.
He'd write a densely plotted, very clever Bernice story.
And it's not the comedy. You get some lighter episodes of Doctor Who, but there's something about the tone of the Bernice stories that I just really, really like. More than anything else.
I mean, just the concept of so there's this alien character in this called Jogon, who's got basically the pleasure centers of his brain are index linked to the stock market. So when his stocks are in, he basically has an orgasm. So by the end of the story, his stocks are in so much he orgasms to death. He's sort of going, oh.
Yeah. Obviously, The Greatest Shop in the Galaxy, a riff on, obviously, The Greatest Show in the Galaxy from Doctor Who. And here, we're not on the collection again. So we've talked about the Brat Steele collection, where this collection of regular characters live, which have been going on in the books, and they're very collection central, some of them. And but these audios haven't made use of them
books
again.
Have been cohering the regulars as well.
But then also these audios... The good thing with Benny, again, is... Benny. I know her so well. Bernice.
Oh, I thought you meant Orphan 55.
Oh, no.
Where's my Benny?
No, the good thing about it is because she's this archaeologist character, she can get sent off on a mission and she's off anywhere
But
and
that was
anywhere.
a problem in Series 2.
It doesn't feel like that.
Because in Series 2, there wasn't anything set on the collection at all. And you do have one story in this season set on the collection, and then one story which features most of the regulars.
You've got more of the regulars in this.
It feels like, as a sort of a unique set of characters, it's starting to cohere.
But in this story, Bernice is sent to
The Giga Market.
The Giga Market, which is like a massive shopping centre of everything ever.
Do you know how that came about?
How?
That's my trivia. Paul Ebbs was walking around an enormous Tesco Extra, right? Apparently he was looking around it going, where will it end, Yataxa? No, it doesn't say Yataxa, but it's like basically these shops are getting bigger and bigger. You know, there was one in Crawley that was 3 floors high, absolutely enormous. And so, but his idea was it's an entire planet
I know, and yeah, it sounds amazing.
given over to retail therapy.
Oh my God, there was one in Wales somewhere as well. It's like an American superstore, and you just look. It's one aisle. I mean, you can look down from one of the end. It has everything ever. On like one end, it's got like soap powder and stuff. It's got motorbikes down the other end. Anything and everything in between.
Yeah.
It's like a real life one of these. It
Right.
is absolutely
But it's
amazing.
perfect for Bernice.
But perfect for Bernice. And she's there to excavate under a car park for something or other.
it's just
but
an
she wants
excuse.
to go shopping.
She
Which is
wants to go
perfect. That's the
shopping.
character, isn't it?
And she's stolen Adrian's credit card.
Yeah.
And he set it to lukewarm.
And we have to say as well, Bernice has had the baby by this point.
Yeah,
that's
very
the biggest thing since between series 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why they did sort of audiobook or like it just skips over all of that stuff. And she's just got the baby. He's been looked after on the collection, so he's not actually in this story.
But from now on,
the
big events happen on audio.
Yes,
So
from now on onwards.
you know,
well, actually, no. A lot. No, the Axis stuff later on.
Oh yeah, that was
skips it all out.
Part of audio. That was the last point though.
Yeah.
After Death and the Daleks, which is in the next season.
Yeah.
Then from then on, it's
So
all
this
audio.
is the biggest change as well, that she's now a mother.
Which is such a great decision. I know we've got, that bitch David Bailey and other people saying, I don't want to be a part of that.
But then you don't really have to, because there's no, like, she's a mother and the baby's back on the collection, and this could just be a normal adventure without her being a mother.
But it reaps massive rewards. And
But later on, it does come
We're going to talk about
up,
the Green
yeah.
Eyed Monsters in this
Yeah.
one, which is potentially the best of the season. And that's all about her being, and so is the Mirror Effect as well. It leans into her being a mother.
So this story was really entertaining because a big majority is Bernice shopping.
And Joseph.
And we've got Joseph as well.
Yes. Hello, Bernice.
Which is this sort of drone helper thing with her, which is a big like smiley ball thing that goes around and
Stephen
helps
Wickham,
her.
who
Played by
previously
Stephen
appeared
Wickham.
in Father Pompeii and Phantasmagoria as well.
Yes, yeah. So he's a regular big finisher.
Do you know who else he was as well? He was that fella who played the girl in Red Dwarf.
Yes.
Who got to snog Craig Charles.
Yeah, yeah,
And
he's
then
been
they
Red
brought him
Dwarf.
back 5 seasons later. He said, I'm only coming back if I can snog Craig Charles again. And he did.
So yeah, Bernice going around shopping and stuff, which it's just again like a Red Dwarf. You can imagine like Lister going round wanting stuff in a shopping centre thing and not really
Yeah.
caring about the consequences while this other sort of time loop thing is happening. And there's some great there's sort of like time. What is it like? People get time shifts, isn't there?
There is. So it's
And
got a brilliant concept at its heart that is the ultimate grandfather paradox.
Yeah.
In that one of the soldiers, the Bolvari.
There's a war going on as well over this shopping centre, basically.
So there's a character in this, and his grandson from the past, who is a soldier, is fighting the Bolvari, comes forward to the Gigamart at this point, where they are doing deals with the Bolvari. So you've got it's set in two different parts of time. It's so clever. And eventually he ends up killing his own grandson. It's weird. You know what it is? It's exactly what Sidney Newman said to the script editor when he tried to suggest Doctor Who had a dark secret.
Nuts. But my favourite bit was when Bernice is shoe shopping, and it's like this, miles and miles of shoes and stuff, and there's a time shift, and then the shoes turned back into cows. So they're sort of like, dead bits of dead cow and stuff, because it's supposed to be like real leather and stuff.
Oh, and at the end, a bomb goes off, but at the same time as a time loop hits, so this bomb goes off again and again. So Bernice keeps getting the chance to try and defuse the bomb. Otherwise, obviously, if it wasn't, she would have died. And so clever.
This is such a step up from those previous ones. It's still only like 4 characters.
Yeah.
It's still minimal cast, but what they've done with it now
feels epic.
Like the sound design is so much better.
Yeah.
It does. It really does feel like a proper action adventure in this supermarket.
It does. Do you know who did the music for this?
I did say at the beginning, yes.
Yeah. No, it's not Alistair Locke. It's Steve Johnson.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, I've said it was Alistair Locke at the beginning. Why did you not correct me?
Oh, well, do you know what? I snogged him once. He come round my house and we had a snog. We decided it wasn't for us, though. There's a bit of trivia you don't get on other podcasts.
Well, it says on TARDIS Wiki that it was Alistair Locke that did the music.
I suggest you check the CD inlay. Because I know for a fact it was Steve Johnson. He also did the covers for that second series of, Kedge Royer and all of that. Those covers, those terrible covers.
Oh.
Faith Stealer and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, not great. But he wasn't a bad kisser. So that's good. Can I say the best part of this, though? The absolute funniest part of this, and there was great jokes in this as well. Quirky ideas, quick pace, funny characters. But the best part was the beginning, which played the I Love Adventure terrible music from Series 2. And then it cuts to it being played on the radio, and Lisa Bauman goes, "Oh, what was I thinking?" And Gary Russell says, "Finally, we're going to put a line under that dreadful title music."
I don't mind that music, actually, to be honest. I'd be happy if that carried on.
I think you're the only person. Oh, I like.
I would. I mean, I love the covers how they've gone. But if it went back to those artwork covers from before and the previous, I love them both.
Can I say, Adrian Salmon's artwork,
brilliant. It really is.
I genuinely think these are the best covers that Big Finish have ever put out. Like, it's sort of weird, sort of spiky art with bold colours, so the sort of the figures stand out. And there were alternative covers for the last series, weren't they? That were really good. Stone's Lament had an Adrian Salmon cover.
That was the first one, yeah.
Yeah. And Sky Mars Karthos as well, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. That's when they changed over.
I think he does it now for about 5 seasons.
It goes on for a very long time, yeah.
It's a
his
brilliant
artwork.
one of Bernice and a naked Jason running away from a Dalek experience.
Yeah.
I bet you paid close attention to that cover.
Oh, I'd love to see them all in a gallery. National Portrait Gallery, please. Beneath the collection.
You want to see Jason Kane naked in a gallery? Yeah. I bet you're at that cover with a microphone. Microglass.
Micro.
What's it called?
Magnifying glass.
I mean, I'm not sure what to say. I think this is a big, bold opener, and it is fun. It's not a serious story, but it kind of needs it, It
resets the tone going
back to series 1.
It starts off that season with a nice explosion.
Indeed. What, you mean an orgasm? I can't believe that man orgasmed to death. I can't believe they asked someone to act that out. He's going...
And these are things you get where you couldn't really do these in your Doctor Who audios.
You could not have a villain being orgasmed to death.
I feel like if there's a really outrageous idea, they put it into Bernice rather than in the Doctor Who. If there was something that was like, it wouldn't really get past...
But I do want to say, and I say this again and again in this episode, there's some bloody good writing in this season. And it is a shame, because you'll hear in my trivia, that these were basically, being completed in someone's lunch break, like the direction and the sound design. And that's really bad, because I think in some of these cases, what they're producing here is better than what they're producing for Doctor Who. Would you like a bit more trivia?
Oh, bring it on.
Well, Paul Ebbs, do you know what BBC book Paul Ebbs wrote? It's the only other thing he did for Doctor Who.
I recognise the name, but I can't think.
The Book of the Still, 8th Doctor book. It's got a big book on the cover. The Doctor flies it past the sun towards the end of the book. It's a invulnerable book that grows to massive proportions. like this story. It's full of nuts ideas. But he was also script editor of BBV at the time. The BBV audio range.
That's where I know his name. Has he written some BBV audios? Is that where I know the name from?
He has written some BBV, but he was also script editing the range. And there was a suggestion, how could you bring across BBV script editor to write for Big Finish? And Paul Epps says, the idea that BBV or Big Finish actually matter is laughable. Which I think is a great quote. He says it's big fish, small pond. And he said so he's basically saying he's not important enough to not write for both. And he was just taking any commissions that he could get because he wanted his CV larger.
Well, it says here he contributed to Auton 3.
Did he?
Apparently.
Oh, that was dreadful. Do you remember?
No, I
Those
love the Auton
interminable
ones.
scenes set in that hospital. Oh, awful. Paul Epps also goes on to say that he was going out with a shoe obsessive at the time, that he thinks that monsters are just doing their natural thing and they shouldn't be portrayed as villains, and capitalists manipulate their environment. Essentially, he had an agenda when writing this. He wanted to portray the monsters as not evil, he wanted to portray the capitalists as evil, and he wanted a shoe obsessive in there as well. And that was Bernice.
Oh, job well done.
Do you know this was originally pitched as a Seventh Doctor Past Doctor adventure?
Oh my god!
But they said they weren't going to allow that because it was too much of a runaround.
Well, that's the thing. I just don't think you could have these storylines in Doctor Who. I think that would just be too far. Even for imagine a season 24, Seventh Doctor and Mel, greatest shop in the galaxy type. Oh, Doctor, these shoes, this is amazing. Thanks for taking me here.
Jesus.
Mel, come back. I've lost you in the shoes.
Why is that man orgasming to death?
Oh, Doctor, no. What's going on? Never mind, Mel. Come on. It wouldn't really work, would it?
In fact, Gary Russell contacted him and said, this don't work for Doctor Who, but this would work brilliantly for Benny.
Yeah.
And it does.
Yep. Okay.
So I'd say full marks to this.
Yeah. Good start.
If you wouldn't want every Bernice to be this tone.
No, I mean, I do like that, so I wouldn't mind it. No, not so out there every time.
But, I mean, as a way of redeeming after the horrendous season 2, this was so refreshing.
Yep. Well, next we have The Green-Eyed Monsters, released in August 2002, with Stephen Fuel back as Jason, my favourite, and Harry Myers as Adrian as well.
Yep.
This was written by Dave Stone, directed by Gary Russell, with music by David Darlington.
Well done. Oh no, look, I've got it wrong.
What?
Look, I'm going to have to redact a statement I just made.
Oh, God.
This is the story that had Adventure is My Game in it.
Oh,
and
it
took the
is?
piss out of it.
Oh, shit.
Oh, Paul Epps, I'm sorry, I've given you compliments there you don't deserve.
Do you
Dave
know what?
Stone, all the compliments for you.
But the other one started with the other music, though, didn't it?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, I meant the new music.
Yeah, the new music.
Yeah. No, sorry, I was getting
This
that
one
mixed up because
starts
it's the
with
first
Adventure in My
one. You
Game,
would think
yeah.
it would be. No, you're right. We both got that wrong.
Stone Mark, Dave, I got it wrong.
So this is a
This
little
is
bit of a different tone. This is
fabulous.
really good fun. So you've got two things going on here. Again, Bernice has been called away from the collection to investigate, to authenticate some artifacts, leaving Jason and Adrian
Holding the baby.
looking after the baby. And this is where the rivalry comes in, because obviously Jason is Bernice's ex-husband and still likes her. Adrian is this wolf creature man that actually impregnated Bernice when she was not in her own body.
All in the books, this.
Which is all in the books. I mean,
I'm glad they're
how do
acknowledging
you imagine
it all now,
Adrian to look? Like a wolf
though. Like a
man.
massive dog. Yeah, a bit like Carvanista.
So how did the sex work with that? Has it
Well,
got like a...
Oh, I had a dog once, right?
Oh, no.
No, wait. I had a dog once, right? And every now and again, this little pink lipstick would come out of him.
Oh, no.
And I'd go, oh, put it away. I'd
That's
imagine
what happened.
like dogs hump from behind, don't they? He probably just came up behind her and humped her.
Oh, God.
I don't know. I don't think you're supposed
So
to think
anyway.
about it. Why are you asking me that question?
This also reminds me of those conversations that we've had about
Excuse me?
About... Oh, no, I'm not...
We have not had conversations about bestiality.
No, about women who put peanut butter on their fannies and get dogs to lick it off.
No, I'm sorry.
Swear that's
He
happened.
absolutely thinks that women...
No, I heard someone had done that.
Smear peanut butter on their punannies and get animals to lick it off. I mean, where have you heard that?
Someone told me that, and you said you asked someone, and they said that happens as well.
Maybe Bernice smeared some peanut butter down there and Adrian couldn't resist it. I don't know. She was possessed by a witch queen at the time.
Yeah, basically. It's a very good book, The Squire's Crystal, that it all happens in. Actually, I'm pretty glad that didn't happen on audio.
Do you remember the bit where she has her first erection? Because she's inside the mind of a man.
Yeah.
And this woman's in her mind, isn't it? And so she's got a willy for the first time. And she goes, it moved all on its own. So funny. This is the stuff you can do on Bernice, though, isn't it?
Yeah. But so anyway, you've got...
Sorry, not on Bernice. In Bernice. Oh my God, I need to
Jason
stop.
and Adrian competing to be like dad of the year, trying to look after... So they're like fighting all the time, and this rival just carries on and on for quite a while now. But it's brilliant.
Miranda, think How I Met Your Mother, think every sitcom going. I swear every single one's done this, where you've got the two unlikely people left holding the baby, and initially they hate each other, and they've got the rivalry here of Jason loves Bernice. Adrian has fallen in love with Bernice because of this, because I think the Calorans sort of pair bond, don't they? So if they do fuck somebody, that's for life. A bit like swans. It's quite beautiful, actually. So, all right, I was trying to be...
When you say pair bond, I think of Shakedown. You sexually pair bonded.
Oh, God. It doesn't mean we're sexually pair bonded, Anyways... so initially they're really aggressive with each other, and then as the story goes along, the baby gets kidnapped and they got to work together to get the baby back, and it's just really beautifully written in how it's not obvious, and how they come to understand each other is really nicely done as well. And may I say, beautifully played by Stephen Fewell and Harry Myers.
They're both really good. I mean, I love Stephen Fewell.
But Harry Myers is really
Harry
good
Myers
here
is very good as well.
Because usually he's just sort of like, hello, Bernice, like that, isn't it? Whereas he actually gets to play
There's
some
more character.
Yeah. It's really, really great.
And then the other plot is Bernice going off. Basically, she's been hired, but she... because her reputation is a bit of an alcoholic, really bad archaeologist. She's been hired because they want her to authenticate stuff that isn't actually real. They just want her to say, yeah, it's fine. But actually, because she's there sort of sober and like, hang on a second, there's something going on. They're like, no, we've got the wrong person. We want someone that is completely useless.
But when she arrives, they stroke her ego.
Yeah.
The renowned Professor Summerfield. And then when she realises that, you think she's an old drunk. So funny. Those sequences are a bit OTT because you've got a woman playing the villain in those scenes, and she's doing every line like you could tell she's a villain just by how she's delivering the dialogue.
I was more invested in the Jason and Adrian stuff. I wasn't so bothered about the actual Bernice plot that was going on. It was sort of minor to me. It wasn't as enjoyable.
She even had Kenneth Williams' line. At one point she goes, infamy!
Because you've still got the comedy, but there is that drama there, like you say, with the character of the Jason and Adrian.
Yeah.
And they're sort of comedy, these twins that this woman's got. That's where the green-eyed... Well, it works on two levels in this. Obviously, it's very clever. Yeah. But there is literally green-eyed monsters in this. And they're sort of like Tweedledum, Tweedledee type. It's all a bit forgettable, that part of it.
It is, but Lucy Bowman's still very funny.
But she's, wonderful in it.
I wrote here, it's the cleanest, simplest thing that Dave Stone has ever written to this point. Because he was known in the books for writing these very verbose... Have you read a Dave Stone book? He's a bit like Tolkien. He uses enormous words, and he'll describe a chair in 3 chapters.
Did he invent Jason?
He did in Death and Diplomacy. Yeah.
I don't understand Dave Stone, because have you heard that Bernice, the charity one they did, Many Happy Returns, which was like a download only one, and I don't know if that's written by Dave Stone, but it starts off with Sophie Eldred saying, "Hello, I'm Dave Stone," blah blah blah, and there's this weird sort of meta introduction of Sophie Eldred playing Dave Stone, and there's another short story where it's supposed to be Dave Stone reading or writing or something.
don't
Being
know
like,
any of it.
I don't know. It's that always threw me when
All I
Sophie
think is-
Eldred said, "I'm Dave Stone."
Dave Stone is quoting here as saying that like he was always trying to impress people with his writing, and I always used to say in my reviews, he's too. He's trying to be too funny, too many ideas, too silly, and here he just pares it all down and makes it about these two characters, and it sings as a result.
Yeah.
It's really great. I've got a quote here from your other lover, Stephen Fuel. He says, it was when Dave Stone wrote for the series that it became clear who Jason was. And he really liked the writing because he said there was a reticence in the writing where the characters don't just spill their guts about how they're feeling, but you have to work to get to that point. And I think he's kind of quoted a lot in the Inside Story. He's really quite insightful about the writing of these stories. But yeah, he says he struggled a bit in that first series. And like I said to you, it's a bit, oh, Benny.
Yeah, I know.
Whereas here, it's not that at all. And what happens later on is he's portrayed as very much the father to Peter, very much the other half to Bernice. He gets some really mature writing. And a shocking ending, but we'll get there in about 15 years.
But I do also like he does comedy very well. That's what I like about Jason as well.
Yeah.
And any scenes between Bernice and Jason are just brilliant for me.
Dave Stone actually says, this is where I finally got to grips with the form. Rather than showing off, I was telling an actual story. Thumbs up. I agree. And this is where they start talking about the post-production. David Darlington says, usually if there's a delay, it's post-production. People are doing Big Finish in their spare time. We weren't paying anyone enough, certainly on Benny, to ask anyone to shift their life around for us. And that's really sad, because this is good stuff.
But as you said that,
being done on the cheap.
Surprising that the quality is so good.
But David Darlington does say, this is one of the favourite things I've done. And I can actually hear it, because the music's really good in this as well. You know, I love it when we cut back to them and they're playing that lullaby every time where they're kind of going, could you go, Peter?
And isn't it at the end where there's the music and then it cuts and they're arguing, then it cuts back and they're arguing.
So funny.
They're all arguing at the end. It's very sitcom-y.
You've got Lisa Bowerman going, come on, boys, stop fighting. I will tell you. And Adrian's going, I fucking hate you. And then the music, and then back to the argument. Oh, it's brilliant.
Wonderful.
So it's 2 for 2.
2 for 2. Well, next up we have The Dance of the Dead.
Yes,
Released
by The Crush of Our Lives.
In October 2002, which brings back Matthew Brenner as the Ice Warrior.
Yes, Bernice.
Written by Stephen Cole. Oh my God, what an episode I've got.
I don't think I did
Stephen
notice
Fuel.
that you haven't digged out that Doctor Who magazine with Steve Cole in it. I dread to think what you've been using that for.
I mean, this episode has Stephen Cole and Stephen Fuel in it.
Oh, no.
Oh my God.
Jesus, it's like your ultimate orgy, isn't it?
Directed by Edward Salt, that's the Salt, and music by David Darlington. A very different story now. We're getting a bit more serious.
Deliberately so. Can I just say, Lisa Bowerman... Steve Cole says that he and Lisa Bowerman went on a sci-fi cruise together.
Oh my God! I want to go on a sci-fi cruise with Lisa Bowerman and Steve Cole, please. Oh my God!
I'll book it. Wait, we need to get them as guests.
I want to go on a glass button boat.
But Lisa Bowerman basically complained that it was to Miami as well.
Oh,
Miami.
Is that on that Sea Cruises DVD? I might dig that out.
I think it is, you know.
Let's watch that again tonight.
Okay.
Oh.
But Lisa Bowerman is complaining that the Bernice plays are getting too comedic, and she wants a more serious role. She wants to act.
I know.
So she wanted to do something more dramatic, and so he delivered this script. And I don't know if we're going to differ in opinion on this one, but I think this is the third very good story on the trot. And I think it uses, because they're having to tell stories with a small amount of characters, it uses that brilliantly, because they introduce this gas, which is memories of an old alien race. So every single actor doubles up and plays 2 roles. So it feels like it's got a big cast, but actually it's only got about 4 actors in it.
I think after I bought The Secret of Cassandra, I didn't buy any of these other ones, and I think Dance of the Dead was the next one I bought. It just happened to be in a bookshop when I was walking home from school one day, and I bought it, and I always thought it was so boring when I first listened to it.
Do you still
when it
think
came
it's boring?
out, but I really enjoyed it this time.
It's
I actually
really good.
I don't know, I got it this time. And yeah, Lisa Bowerman's acting is brilliant as she regresses
she's
back to this
superb.
ice warrior. And Matthew Brenner, I mean, no one talks about him as being, he's a good Ice Lord.
He's a brilliant Ice Lord, but he plays the two roles brilliantly.
Yeah.
So basically he's the Ice Warrior, but he's also the memories that he's playing is this sort of grand ambassador, and Bernice is playing the woman that was his girlfriend, but she's sleeping around with everyone, isn't she? So they've got this awful sort of jealousy subplot that we keep cutting to throughout the stories. But while that's all playing out, the ship's going down. It's just like a submarine story. And the ship's going down, they're running out of oxygen. Was there water pouring in? I can't remember now.
And someone else in the ship, yeah.
And on board, there's a suggestion there's a terrorist on board.
Well, it's supposed to be this peace conference, isn't there? Wherever there's an Ice Warrior, there's a peace conference.
That's right. It goes hand in hand.
Always.
Oh, sorry, pincer in pincer.
Yeah. No, I did really appreciate this smaller character-led stuff. There's still a few funny lines here and there, but I'd say, yeah, the tone is completely different.
Well, I like the beginning of it because this is after the Plague Herds of Excelis, which you've already covered, where she's going, "Oh, Iris, why did you take me to that bar?" So she's basically got a hangover throughout the entire story before she even gets hit by this memory gas.
Yeah, it always piles on for Bernice.
It does. I thought Lisa Bowerman and Matthew Brenner had great chemistry, both as the Ice Warrior and Bernice, and as the two.
And you can tell
lovers.
when they go back and forth and everything.
Yeah.
It's very, and he's got to do this your Ice Warrior voice the whole time. You've got to act through that.
But do you know what else this was as well, which we don't get very often? This is. It felt very urgent because it's a linear story. We don't cut to
anywhere else.
future point.
There's a countdown, isn't there? Because there's, as you say, a bomb. The ship's crashing.
So the whole thing just plays out like like 42 in Doctor Who. Yeah. So it feels very dramatic, and you're sort of in there in the moment with them.
And you've got that Irish steward guy at the beginning as well, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, I think the idea is that they think he's the one that set off the bomb.
But it's not him, is it? It's somebody else. It's the other ice lady.
He's just a con man who basically wants to pick over the corpses and steal stuff.
It's very clever that you've only got 4 actors in these, and I think maybe they're used to it now, which they weren't in series 2. They're writing to their constraints, aren't they? They know now, I think, what is possible.
And I think Steve Cole was just in tune with.
Oh, Steve Cole is an expert in everything.
But you don't like any of his scripts for Doctor Who.
Steve Cole?
Yeah, Land of the Dead.
Oh, yeah, but again, that was early on.
Kiss of Death.
He's busy running a whole empire of Doctor Who around that time.
And doing his hair as well.
So,
what do you know? What I thought was very clever was there is 2 narratives taking place. And in the original timeline, these 2 spurned lovers, they hated each other in the end and never got a chance to say goodbye. But because the memories go into Bernice and the Ice Warrior, they actually get to have that moment where they get to say, I loved you too. And I'm really sorry for how I behaved. I just thought it was really nice. The emotion was judged really well as well. So again, I haven't really got any complaints.
And when we were listening, we were having a barbecue at the same time. It was really nice.
We were munching on sausages.
We were cooking
listening.
the sausages outside, listening to Dance of the Dead. That's how you do it.
No. So, and it just goes to show as well that this series can be extremely serious and still work very well.
Yeah.
Because, tonally, compared to the first 2, this is somewhere completely diverse.
Yeah, completely different. Well, let's go on to the next story then.
Okay.
The Mirror Effect was released in April 2003 and brings back Miles Richardson as Braxiatel. Also, Stephen Fuell as Jason, Harry Myers as Adrian, Stephen Wickham as Joseph, and Beverly Cressman. I always wanted you to go, Beverly Cressman.
What the hell?
Who is Miles Richardson's wife?
No, was.
Oh,
They're not together anymore. That was dropped to me recently.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, she was married to Braxton Hill. She better watch
The
her back.
original Kate Lethbridge-Stewart.
I know. Oh, was she terrible?
No, I think she's really good.
Everyone
I really
who plays
like
Kate
her.
Lethbridge-Stewart is really fucking boring. Well, she's better than Gemma Redgrave, but that ain't the walking
Well, they
robot.
cast very well then, the same person.
Why didn't they bring Beverly Crispin in to play Kate Stewart in Unit
I
series?
love
Finish.
that. Absolutely love it.
And her son Gordy.
Oh, Gordy, come here. Get in away from those chilies.
She lives on a long boat, you know.
Oh, bloody chilies.
This is our first chance to bring together all the regulars we've had so far.
And this
Finally!
for the first time on audio after being in all those books.
Yeah.
And this is a big turning point in the whole of the
yes.
Bernice series. The ongoing. The arc is starting to come in now, proper.
Well, no, I think this is the first hint that there is an arc. I don't think there's been an arc before this.
Yeah, the arc is starting now.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Well, sort of.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's very focused on these 4 characters. And... Oh, I don't know. I do like it. I like the idea, the concept of it. I like all these regular characters. I don't know. The story, it wasn't as, like, in terms of a drama story, I thought it was a bit boring.
Really?
I know. I don't know. I like certain points of it, but overall, it's not one that I would go back to again and again.
Oh, I thought
Maybe because I do like the lighter Bernice stuff.
in terms of the interaction between the regulars, this is the best story we've had.
Oh, I know what you mean. I knew you were going to say this.
It's part of the thing because it's set on this sort of
very thing.
snowy planet down underneath.
Do you know what I kept seeing? That's not, when they go to that abandoned ice place in Red Dwarf 7. You know when they go to that abandoned ice thing towards the end of the series,
Yeah.
because Lister gets taken over by a thing.
God, yeah,
it's
series
very
7.
it's very Red Dwarf 7 in my head of an
You know
abandoned
what it
ice
reminded
place.
me of? You know when they go to the snowy mirror, there's that sequence in the Never-Ending Story where the kid goes through the mirror in the snow bit. But it's also it reminded me of Sapphire and Steel as well. All of this sort of weird going in and out of mirrors. They go in and out of pictures and photographs and things in Sapphire and Steel. And because it has also got that very sort of paranoid, dark tone to it as well.
And because we end up with evil sides of some of these other characters,
Yeah.
there are points where you're actually not sure who's who.
Yeah. So it's basically doing Invasion of the Body Snatchers as well.
But I think there was a bit too much of the character of like, oh, somebody arguing with someone or talking about, what was that, about, obviously the baby comes up a lot. I think there was a bit too much emotion in this for me. Maybe that's what it was.
Do you think?
Too much just chat about, rather than... there needs to be a bit more action.
I mean, I get it, and I don't think this is your style.
It's not my style.
Story
Yeah, it's
either.
not my
Whereas
style,
I
otherwise.
like it when shows probe characters
I bet you do.
psychologically, and I really thought this did that really, really well. I actually wrote down for Bernice, it sort of reveals that she's a bit disgusted that she was a mother, that she potentially hates Braxiatel. You've got Jason, who fears that he's got no claim as Peter's father, and he doesn't want Adrian to be anywhere near her. Adrian, who is absolutely fallen for Bernice, and is scared that she'll never feel the same way. And Braxiatel...
Well, this is the story for him, isn't it? This is where...
Miles Richardson can do no wrong.
Because
except
so far,
divorce Beverly.
I know, I can't believe he did that. Because Braxiatel, so far, he owns this amazing collection, this planetoid, he's brought everyone together. He's a bit of a distant figure. He's the sort of Dumbledore, isn't he, of the Bernice Summerfield.
Dumbledore?
From Harry, he's like Dumbledore
He's not
from
a
Harry
wizard.
Potter. Yeah, but he's like that, the more elusive character at the beginning.
Dark
at the
alternative
beginning.
universe Dumbledore.
But you don't know how... And
do you mean because
like-
he's very charming and erudite and witty?
he's like the head... And you just don't really get to know him that well, and you don't know what's actually going on.
No, but he comes across
But
very
this
personable.
is where... But no, he is, yeah. And completely trustworthy.
Yeah.
And this is where it starts to hint that there is something else going on.
You know what's clever was the fact that he's been here before because he sent the original expedition down, and you're like, okay, so what dark secret was he after? Actually, he was just after the mirror for his collection. He knew that mirror was there, where if you look into it, it'll create this, it will sort of give birth, because you hear this at one point, it gives birth to an evil version of Bernice. It's really weird. You've got like weird baby cries, and then Lisa Bauman sucking herself out the mirror.
And you've got hints as well, because Brax still turns up in the Gallifrey series, where they actually start to link a few things up, where there is other things going on.
There's a specific link between Gallifrey and this as well in the story, which I thought was very, very clever. Why? It's almost, that's more clever, I think, than what they do nowadays, like that annoys you, putting one-off characters in one series and then putting them in another series.
Yeah, it's not that, actually, because they are very separate. Link. It's very, if you want to link them up, you can link them up, and there's just the odd line here and there that links things up. But yeah, this is very much Brax's Tales story for me.
And in a truly fantastic sequence, Jason confronts Braxiatel and says, hang on, there's a dark version of Bernice, there's a dark version of Adrian, there's a dark version of me. Why isn't there a dark version of you? And the inference is that he is evil or he is bad. And this, Jason forgets that, doesn't he? I can't remember why.
Hypnotises him, and then whenever Jason wants to bring it up or remembers, he gets a really bad head pain.
Well, remember this, everybody.
So Brax makes him forget.
Because in the unforgettable Crystal Canters by Joseph Lidster, this comes up.
Yeah, it comes back.
It bears fruit.
This is where it starts. Jason, my hero.
I know. Well, no. Right up until when Jason leaves, this is paid off.
This is where it starts.
I mean, this is some serious fucking long-form storytelling we're doing. You know, in this shoddy spin-off show that nobody cares about.
And if you did all the books and all these audios, if you do them all in order, there's so much you can get out of it.
It is. But you know, more importantly, I really think the characters are starting to, you know, maybe initially you'd heard, they're going to do the Braxiatel collection and they're all going to be a happy family living there. Not at all.
No. Already it just starts.
It's very sort of soapy because, like we said, we've had the two of them holding the baby and they're jealous of there, and she's in the middle trying to sort them out, and Braxiatel's doing his evil skins. But it just works brilliantly. They've cast it really well, and sort of we've had to wait a bit. Now it's all starting to be very satisfying. Can I say, this is the second time I'm going to compliment Stephen Field in this. The sequence where he thinks he's going to die, there's a sequence where Jason thinks he's drowning and he's going to die. That was so raw, that performance. It really, we were listening to this on the bed. I sat upright. I was like, Jesus Christ, he really sounds like he thinks he's going to die. It's also affording the actors the chance to deliver performances you wouldn't get in Doctor Who as well, because you wouldn't have anything that raw in a
you wouldn't have that, even that horror, like we said, you wouldn't get that complete silliness, but you wouldn't get this complete darkness in a Doctor Who.
It's wonderful. And Bernice comes to the conclusion that actually she's a bit sick of being pushed around by a Braxiatel and sent to all these places. She's sick of being pushed around by Jason and Adrian, being upon, and she's absolutely sick of being a mother because she's tired. So she's really quite unhappy with her situation. It really throws interesting shades on the cast, and I completely understand why this isn't quite for you. And it did feel quite long. I think maybe
it's the longest one. It's like an hour and 10 minutes.
Maybe 10, 15 minutes too long.
But just compared,
just bold and dramatic.
Our space archaeologist River Song in their series never had anything like this.
No.
Doesn't go to any of these depths in any of those Big Finish series.
Because that's in the sold out Big Finish era where it's River Song and the Crotons.
You just would not get a story like this
River
nowadays.
Song and Missy.
At all. There's no way you'd get something like that.
Has she met 5, 6, 7,
all of
8,
them,
9, 10?
She does all that, but she would never have something like this or any development, character like that. With, like you said, all those things that are on Bernice right now at this point.
Though, isn't it? Because
it's a shame.
How many seasons of River Song have there been? 8, 9?
Yeah.
They could have
all of those
done
series.
A set of regulars. They could have given her an ongoing narrative.
Yeah.
What happens here is, by the time you get to sort of season 7, 8,
this is only
9,
series 3 of Bernice, and so much has changed.
And that becomes very collection focused, and Simon Gurrier takes over, and suddenly the standard of writing is so good, and all the characters are in place there. The stories are practically self-perpetuating. Man, oh man. go and listen to the Bernice range. I mean, they're still available, aren't they?
Yeah, all cheap on download now.
Don't bother with season 2 because it's very boring.
They're all out there. That I think, more people should listen to Bernice.
Oh, I also got hints of Them, that movie you made me watch, that very scary movie with the family, and then their darker alter egos visited them at home.
Was that Us?
Tried to kill them.
Was it Us?
Why was it Us? Them?
Or Them?
I don't know. It was very scary though. And it did give all of the regulars a chance to play evil. But it wasn't your sort of Star Trek cackling lesbian gay evil.
No, oh my God,
it was
no. Well, nothing to do with Star Trek, no.
Proper fucking scary evil.
Yeah, this was the darker side of things. Yeah.
It's quite scary when she wants to be,
Yeah, it wasn't any Star Trek Next Generation. Oh, Jean-Luc, you're so attractive. Any of that kind of stuff.
Lisa Palmer gives me the willies.
She can play dark. She can.
Well,
she can do everything. Like I said, like air, like water.
Let's
Lisa
not
Bauman's
stroke
acting.
her too much. But in this season, she's played the shopaholic in the first story. She's played the sort of distressed mother in the second episode. She played another character in the third episode, and now she's playing an evil counterpart. So Lisa Bauman is being stretched. What is wrong with you? Yes. I do have some trivia.
Oh,
You'd care
please,
to hear
give
it.
us some trivia quick.
Again, this was originally pitched as a Doctor Who story, complete with 2 locations and Bond action sequences, and it was completely retooled for Benny. Gary Russell says this was an opportunity to explore everyone else's reaction to the birth of Peter, and they covered that brilliantly, I thought.
You don't know what Doctor it would have been for.
No,
Imagine Colin Baker. The mirror, it's taking over my mind. Harry!
It's an evil Evelyn! Ah! Her name is Evil Evelyn. She's stuck with her through thick and thin. Her cardi is a shade of red, which represents the blood she shed. So, wait till we get to the pirates. Oh, we'll do whole songs. The mirror would contain something born from the character's fears and would have a birthing scene. The character's fears create a grotesque parody of the child that attacks them. It's a lot of dark ideas. That's Stuart Sheargull talking, and it's really, those are quite scary ideas. I do think it's really executed well. What's very funny is this was going to go to Edward Salt. Pass the salt. And he read the script and said it read like a load of fan fiction and gave a load of notes, gave it back to Gary Russell, and then Gary Russell went, well, I'm going to direct it then, fuck off. He did direct loads more, but I think they just needed to get this made, and because all the regulars are in it, time was of the essence. David Darlington says once again he was asked, can you have this finished yesterday? He was doing Doctor Who and the Pirates and Flip Flop at the same time, and he literally says it was done in the equivalent of his lunch break.
Bloody hell.
And do you know what? I knew that, so I was listening to it, and the sound design was competent.
You can't tell that
and
it was rushed.
This has got that sort of ambient music. It's not got a lot of sort of diversity to it. It's the same sort of music that sort of plays throughout, but that works in this sort of story.
It's all in the same location in the same time, isn't it?
For me, it's 4 for 4. I thought this was brilliant.
I mean, I appreciate it. It's just, I don't know, it's because it's quite dark and quite heavy. I wouldn't go back to it as like, I feel like a Bernice. Wouldn't be the one I would immediately go to. But I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, it does show the sort of the different tones and styles that they were trying.
This whole series is a great example of what Benny can do.
Obviously, Gary Russell is in charge of Bernice at this point. I think he gauged this season.
He's a very good judge.
Perfectly. Yeah. I think maybe 4 is less well gauged because you've got stuff like the Gorilla Escape in there.
Oh, I love that one.
No, the Mike Tucker one.
Bellatron incident.
Yeah, and a few others. I know that's in the future. Yeah. I know I'm going ahead and talking about things that are coming up. I'm sad we're not going to the next Bernice series.
I know.
We've got to go back to boring Doctor Who.
Wow.
Oh, well.
Right, well, where should we go now?
I think we should do Mark's chronology moment.
Yeah. So this is quite simple, really. So we had the Sky Mines of Carthos last time, ending season 2.
Yeah. Bernice was heavily pregnant.
She was pregnant, yes.
Although David Bailey didn't want to know.
No, no, not at all. We do have a couple of books in between, like we said. So you've got the Infernal Nexus and the Glass Prison.
Infernal Nexus brings back Jason.
Has Jason in it. And so she gives birth in the Glass Prison, doesn't she?
And she gives birth in the Glass Prison,
Yeah.
Which is, may I say, seek that out. It's brilliant.
So there are audiobooks of those ones as well, if you can't get the actual books.
As read by our queen, recently
Lisa
baptised.
Yep.
Lisa Bowden.
So then this series then, we pick up with The Greatest Shop in the Galaxy straight after. Green-Eyed Monsters carry straight on. We then actually have our Plague Herds of Excellis put in here.
That's right.
Because actually at the beginning of Plague Herds of Excellis, Bernice is off in a shuttle on her way, and she wants to get away from all of the drama, which is the Jason and
Monsters.
What's his name? Adrian drama. So she's sort of complaining about the beginning, and then at the beginning of Dance of the Dead, she has been dropped off by Iris at the end of Plague Herds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mention of it, so it perfectly slots in, and then we're going straight to the Glass Prison. So it's actually 5 that we've got here that makes up this little series.
We've already covered the Plague Herds of Excellis in our Excellis episode.
So just slotting in the middle there, and there's our extra lovely season.
How nice it has been to be more positive than we were during our Excellis episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's it really. That's quite simple.
Well, hey ho, hey ho.
It's duck. Oh ho.
Duck ho is a total ho. Okay, so Greatest Shop in the Galaxy. You know what? I mean, my opinion isn't very different from there, but I was just going to say a few quotes anyway. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I said I love the funky, upbeat music that accompanies Bernice on her shopgasm. Shopgasm. What's that? She doesn't have a shop anyway. Deliriously enjoyable after the lethargy of season 2. He's quite verbose, Dr. Ho, isn't he? And also, Bernice gets killed over and over, and also gets to buy lots of fabulous shoes. So I was all over.
Yeah.
The
I don't think your opinion is going to change much.
I was spaffing all over it. Okay, the Green-Eyed Monsters. Dr. Ho says, I love Adrian Salmon's unique spiky art and bold colours. Well, I said that today, didn't I? Oh, Doc Ho and I, we are one. The Green-Eyed Monsters dips its toe into sitcom waters and continues Season 3's magic touch. Dave Stone talks about how audio doesn't have to be a big blockbusting production, that the exploration of relations and the nuances of interaction. It's true, and it is. Dance of the Dead. This is precisely the sort of story we should have been doing last season. Emotional, atmospheric, and hugely entertaining. And then he also says it's quietly intense and intoxicating. I think this is probably the best audio that Stephen Cole has written. And for the mirror effect, that's just one quote I put. All is not as simple as it seems on the Braxiatel collection, and I can't wait to see precisely what is going on. Sorry, I was doing my best Conor Baker, trying to have a time lord there. Do you remember that bit?
Yeah.
What's it?
Zoom in close.
Killed Perry. They've got no right to order Perry or anyone else's death, and I shall find out exactly what is going on. Thank you. No, I was impressed. Doc Oho was impressed. It's an impressive season.
Well, let's see if we can impress with our knowledge in oral audacity. Question number 1. Who actually gives Joseph to Benny? Who creates this version of Joseph and gifts him to Bernice?
Is he from the Giga Market, Joseph?
No.
Oh, I don't know. Who?
Braxiatel makes him. And he's not the same one, because we did have a Joseph Stephen Wickham in Walking to Babylon.
Oh, he was cute as well. Remember he went, be gentle with him.
So that is the same kind of thing, but actually it's a different version, and this is a sort of Mark II, like the K9s a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got the different Josephs.
But Steve Wickham is just so charming.
So
isn't he great?
Yep.
Okay, so my first question is, David Benson plays a character in this. Which popular character would he go on to play in a spin-off range?
Candor in Iris Wild Time. I know
Do you know
that.
what the music is for the Iris Wild Time?
I can't remember.
It's the music from the Wormery.
Is it? I haven't heard that for a long time.
But as you know, she's famous for it. So,
Okay. In the Green-Eyed Monsters,
oh yeah.
the Garazone Bazaar is mentioned.
No.
So which story have we seen the Garazone Bazaar in previously?
Please, the Sword of Orion.
I know, that's an easy one.
It's probably in the heart of Orion as well. Do you know, my one's about a planet as well. Goronos, the planet Bernice visits, features in which other story? But it's a novel, and it is written by Dave Stone.
What, Bernice story?
No.
Not a Bernice story?
Yes.
A Doctor Who story?
Yes.
Oh, Dave Stone. Death and Diplomacy.
No.
Oh.
The Slow Empire.
I don't know that one.
Sort of a later BBC book that he wrote. It ain't great, if I'm honest. Stick to writing your Bernice audios.
Okay. Dance of the Dead features the Ice Warriors.
It does. We didn't really talk about them very much, did we?
Well, no, it's not. I mean, it didn't have to be Ice Warriors, really, did it?
Wasn't it nice to see an Ice Warrior woman?
Yes.
Yeah.
First
She
time,
was very
probably.
butch sounding, wasn't she?
So when do we get the Ice Warriors next in a Big Finish release?
Oh, Christ. What, a Doctor Who one or a Bernice one?
Any Big
Well-
Finish at all? When do they appear again in a Big Finish at all?
I think it's...
It's quite a long time.
Is it not Haas in Death and the Daleks?
Oh shit, is it?
I think so, yeah. Haas the Gardener's an Ice Warrior. I can't remember if
Possibly.
he's in it
I don't
or
think
not.
Haas. I think Haas isn't in it until later.
Oh, okay. Are you talking about a Doctor Who story?
The one I have in mind, yeah.
Oh, the Judgment of Iskar.
No, there's one earlier.
Is there? Which Doctor is it? I mean, I've lost, so just keep going with the clues.
Seventh Doctor.
Seventh Doctor story featuring the Ice Warriors. Nope, I've got no clue.
Frozen Time.
Oh, I've forgotten about that one existed.
Yeah, that is the next one. That's a
Frozen
good many
Time.
years
What's
until we
that
get them
about?
again.
Frozen Time.
Oh, it's one of the early Nick Briggs ones when he took over, like that period.
No wonder it was forgettable then. Okay. Where is Iris going when she leaves Bernice?
So what, like the name of a planet or something? Did she
Yeah.
say? Oh, shit.
We literally...
Oh, she's on her way to Bianca's.
Yeah.
Isn't she? For the Wormery.
You said you never wanted her in your hair. Iris,
Oh, God.
stop singing!
Wait until we get to that
you'll
episode.
destroy us all! Oh my God, it's so great.
Okay, my last question. Beverly Cressman related.
Okay.
Well, who
Chilies.
does Beverly Cressman play next in a Bernice Summerfield? It's a regular at the Braxiatel collection.
No, it's not. Is it Biff Tarrant?
No.
Oh, Miss Jones!
Yes.
Yeah, I think
in
that
Death
was
and the
in the back of my head.
Daleks.
Do you
Yeah.
know what though? You look at Beverly Cressman,
Yeah.
and you look at
The one that plays Bev Tarrant.
They
Yeah.
look exact. They even
I know.
sound
Yeah.
the same.
I get them mixed up. I thought this one was whoever plays.
Who is it?
What's her
Louise
name?
Faulkner.
Yeah, Louise Faulkner. Yeah.
Are you sure Louise Faulkner and Beverly Cressman? are the same
No,
person?
because they've got different names. They're different people.
Louise Faulkner, are you the ex-wife of Miles Richardson? We'll get to the bottom of this, you know. Okay, well, my last question is this. What important name does Carnival call Braxiatel?
Cardinal,
And why is that important?
because he's in Gallifrey as a cardinal.
Dun-dun-dun-dun, 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 dun-dun-dun-dun. If anyone doesn't know what we're doing right now, it's the Gallifrey music. Yeah, thank you. Well.
Well done.
Oh, who got most right? Yeah, hang on. You got Panda right. You got that wrong. You got Bianca right. You got
I think
three
we got
right.
two.
I think you got it right.
Yeah, I think I won. Yeah.
Mark's the winner!
Yay!
We got the crispy bottom cheers!
Right.
No, I'm sorry, anyone don't understand that. He cribs the cheering from the Dimensions in Time bit at the beginning with John Pertwee.
Well, shall I say what's going on next? Where we are going to next?
I've never gone back this far in time before.
Well, we are going to some audios that neither of us have heard or know anything about, and I don't think any of our listeners will either.
This is either going to be
a bit pointless.
No. This is either going to be revolutionary or just abysmal.
Well, there's a lot of them to get through. So we are going to the short-lived 2000 AD series that Big Finish did, based on the Judge Dredd comics.
My name is Judge Dredd, and I am the law.
So we're doing 4 to begin with. We'll ease ourselves in.
All I can say is I've heard the first 10 minutes of the first one, and my fears are justified.
So the stories that we are looking for next time are, and they're well out of print and unavailable, so I don't think anyone's going to listen to them.
Not even as downloads?
I don't think so, no.
Didn't you say they were online for 100 quid?
On eBay, there's one CD for 100 quid.
If we convince just one person to pay 100 quid for one Judge Dredd audio,
here we go.
Our work is done.
So we are going to be talking about Judge Dredd, Wanted, Dread or Alive, Judge Dredd, Death Trap, Stronium Dog, Down to Earth, and Judge Dredd, The Killing Zone.
Dread or Alive?
Yeah, that's the first one called.
Oh, God,
So let's find out, shall we?
I'm terrified. I mean, I've never read comics.
I don't know anything about them.
So, I mean, I've got a feeling it's going to be a sort of a bit Vienna-y, you know?
Yeah,
lots
it's
of
that
terrible
world, isn't
American accents. And, you know, like Space Precinct, you know,
Yeah.
that Space City where those flying cars used to fly around?
It's very much that.
Or like Coruscant is it Coruscant in Star Wars?
I don't know.
You know, in the prequels where Anakin and that were flying around that sort of space city. I figure it's going to be a bit like that.
Well, let's find out
Sort
what
of
Big Finish
downtown
do.
criminals and things like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
We've got Toby Longworth, you know, play
We
Beat
have.
the Meep. It could be good.
We shall find out,
You want to end
everyone.
the episode, don't you?
Well, don't start talking about what we're doing next time.
I can't say much. I know fuck all about it.
Yeah, no, we'll save it for next time. Anyway, well, in the meantime, everyone,
Yes.
please do
Finish.
finish big.